Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Resonance Future. I'm your host, Dr. Jinting Wu. Today, we have a very special guest on the show, Renaé Mussachio, an intuitive guide and energy advisor. Renae's work is all about helping people return to their wholeness, not by fixing, not by teaching, but by walking beside them with insight, softness, and sacred presence. Renee especially supports individuals in reconnecting with their worth, clearing emotional residue, and realigning with their highest self. What I love most about Renee's story is that she began not as a teacher, but as a seeker, just like many of us. And in that journey, she discovered the truth that what we are searching for is already within us. So today we'll be exploring her path, her practices, and the gentle reminders she offers for anyone seeking deeper connections. So welcome to the show, Renee. So good to have you here.
Thank you, Jinting. It's so nice to be here. So nice to be here for you and your listeners.
Yeah, I'm so excited for our conversation today. Let's start with how you described yourself. I love it. You described yourself as the advisor for the body, the mind, and the soul. Could you share with us a little bit of what this title means to you? And especially since body, mind, and spirit are in how you describe yourself, tell us about how to understand the body, mind, spirit connection.
Well, for me, like this is always my perception. So if it doesn't resonate with anyone, let it go. But for me, I always listen to the energy across all levels. Okay. The body is the sensor, the mind's the translator, the soul is the compass. Okay. So I support people in hearing what their body already knows, what their mind is resisting, okay, which is, and what their soul remembers, and what their spirit is quietly guiding them toward. Okay, the spirit's what binds them into coherence, and that's the current that brings alignment and presence and truth, into motion. So for me to, it's important for me to listen to all parts of that, not only just the words that people are saying, but to go deeper and to really listen to that vibration, that energy, because sometimes our word, the mind being that translator, it's going to go by all these other things. And I want to listen to everything. So we've got this whole roundabout aspect of what's truthfully going on for people and be able to guide people that way, if that makes sense.
Yeah, can you say that again? It was so beautifully described, the metaphor of mind as a translator. The body is
The sensor.
the sensor, and the
The
spirit is the
soul.
compass. The soul is the compass.
Compass. And the spirit is what binds them all in coherence. Okay, because that's what brings the current into the spirit, is what's bringing the current into alignment and presence and the truth in motion. So it's really all of those. So when I say, I'm the advisor for the body, mind, and soul, I really sort of leave out. I used to say spirit, and I sort of leave that spirit out because I know that's really, I'm not really doing anything. The spirit is what's coming in and bringing in that coherence and the whole alignment and the presence and the truth in motion. It's the other things that I'm really sort of listening to the words that people are saying, but then listening to those other things and watching and seeing what's in this field, and then allowing spirit to come forward for that person, because everybody's going to be different. So coming forward for that person and saying, okay, look at, this is what we're seeing. And I watch the spirit's energy come in and sort of, try and, sometimes I'll see it like this energy. It's like it's trying to come in and it's not truthfully coming forward. And when it's not coming in, then I'm like, okay, what are we doing here? What do we have to do? And as long as we're coming in with this beautiful presence, and there's never a judgment there. It's always, okay, what can I do to help this person get back to themselves? And that's what I've always come in with. And once that spirit energy comes in, it's like, yes, this is what we do. And I just listen and just bring it forward from there.
Mm. Can I understand in this way that our mind works with layers of filters? How we grew up and what kind of parenting and media and school influences all leave an impact on the way we perceive the world, and therefore the mind has multiple layers of filters, and oftentimes that prevent us from being in perfect alignment with our soul and spirit. And can you work with us on that concept a little bit more to help us understand how it should be aligned, but oftentimes can be misaligned?
Yes, because everything that we've gone through, everything we're experienced, even, as we were in the womb, we're taking in everything from our mother and our father's experiences. Okay. And right now in the energy field that we're in, things are shifting and changing. So that's beginning to shift where the new children aren't taking in as much. They're somehow able to discern and say, you know what, we're not taking this on anymore for our parents, and sort of letting that go. But, for a lot of the listeners, for us, we took in the things from them, plus all of our experiences, everything that we were seeing, everything we were taking those in as truths. They weren't our truth. Many of the things that they're not our truth, but nonetheless, we were taking that. It's in the energetic field. There's this energetic field, not only the body, has energy to it, but the field around us. If the listeners will certainly respond to this, you go someplace and you feel uncomfortable. You're stepping into an energetic field that maybe something horrible happened. It could have been something that happened in the 1800s, for goodness sakes. Okay, but the energy's still there if it's never been cleared. We're stepping into that and we're resonating with it, or we're resisting it. So you're feeling that uncomfortableness. You're feeling something, none of this doesn't feel right here. So it's that point of now saying, okay, what am I doing about this? And if you I'm just breathing, okay, look, I'm uncomfortable here. I'm going to choose to leave. So I'm out of this field, or I'm going to stay here and I'm going to stay focused in me. And how I see that is, if somebody is standing there like, this is really uncomfortable, but I have to be here. This is a family event, or this is a whatever. And we've all had those things where, we've got to go here, and you just feel uncomfortable. The minute you say or think, because that's always going to be the factor, the intention really carries things forward. So as you have that energetic field and that connection of, okay, I'm going to be here, but I'm going to stay in my truth. What's really cool, because I can see energy. Okay, so what's really cool is I see this, looks like an energetic bubble go around somebody. So now they're in this field, in this bubble. So now all this other energy that they were not only resisting, but just not resonating with, that starts to hit the bubble and bounces back. It's not allowing them to come back, because you've made that decision to say, no, I'm going to stay in my truth. I'm not going to let any of this affect me, because all of that energy, it's all sitting there. And if we're not doing something about it, it's going to be there. Let's say you went through, and this might be going off. So if I'm going off, let me know. If you go someplace and you are like, oh, last time I was here, I had a horrible experience. Well, that energy of that horrible experience, you left an energetic imprint there. So now you go there again. Well, that energetic imprint's there. So what do you think is going to happen? The mind is going, oh, I remember this. This isn't good. It's going to start to be the translator. If this is a bad time, it's going to start to feed you with all this information. We don't need that information. So, anytime that I'm doing something, or, even meditations, whatever, we're always going through every place you've been, every place you are, every place you will be, every place you would have been, to clear that imprint, because it doesn't need to be anymore. We are shifting and changing. And there's going to come a time where we don't have to do that. But because things are getting easier and easier with the energy. I mean, things that I did 35, 40 years ago are so old and ancient. I was like, I'm not going to do that anymore. I can just think this and boom, it's done. But it's the point of make the conscious effort to say, you know what, I'm uncomfortable right now. What am I choosing to do about it? I don't want to be here. I don't want to do this. Even if let's say there's listeners that are just new to this and they have no idea. Well, I don't know what to do. I'm just starting. You know what to do. It's internally, listen to yourself. Because even if you just thought, okay, I don't know what to do, but I know I don't want to be in this energy. Give me the opposite.
Mm.
Your system, the spirit, like everything knows, and it will then change and shift the energy and put you in that energetic bubble or something that says, okay, look, this energy is not coming up. I've seen shields go up for people. Most frequently I see the bubbles, but it's, what are you saying? What are you thinking? If you're saying, I hate this energy, I hate being here,
You're only reinforcing it.
yeah, you're matching it. You don't have to match that energy.
Mm.
Be
Beautiful.
yourself. Be what you want to say, what you are, or just think it. You don't have to say it out loud. You just think it, and it's going to happen. And if you're really paying attention, you're, internally, which really is just, what am I feeling? You're paying attention. You'll feel that shift, and it's very subtle. It's always subtle because you're going back to you. When we're going back to who we really are, it's not the big, oh my God, I felt this big clip. I did. No, it's very jump because you're going back to who you were. It's a very easy, whatever, channel shift, whatever. And people a lot of times won't recognize it. I always say to people, start to do things. You start to just think things like that. And after a week, look back at your work, or at the end of the day, look back. How did I respond differently to things? And you'll be amazed at what starts saying, like, oh my God, yeah, I used to get really angry when I did that, and I didn't today. Well, that's interesting, or I didn't this week. So it's putting that more awareness around. And the more you do it, the more, the stronger it gets, the further it shows up. And all of a sudden somebody will say something to you like, oh, my friend was telling me this. And you'll immediately click into that energy and be like, well, yeah, that's just because she's afraid. Or I'm like, how do you know? I'm like, I don't know. Because the knowing, the connection, that we're all connected, you're tapping into that piece of that. Because the more you do it, the more, it's like anything.
Yeah. If I may highlight the two things that you just said so beautifully, Renae. One is that energy can never be destroyed, even if it can be only transformed. And I think for an advisor or a mentor, a guide like you, people benefit from having their hands held in transmuting that energy into something more in alignment with their highest and best good. So that's one thing. The other thing that resonated with me a lot from what you said is that we all are sovereign beings.
Yes.
We can declare our sovereignty. We live in a very dense energetic matrix, and every day we interface with the world, with media, with the information bombardment. And if we don't put a sovereign shield around us, whether it is only metaphorically or in actuality and energetically, an energetic shield, then we becomes very easily disoriented, right? But once you make that declaration, right, it's a declaration of your sovereignty, then you can say, well, do I want to feel this way? Do I have a choice? Right. So lots to process, even in that short answer you gave. Thank you, Renae. I want to dive into your path. You said that you began as a seeker rather than a teacher. And many of our listeners will probably relate to that feeling of searching for something more. What was that something that you, despite an outwardly successful life, felt was missing? And how did that search lead you to then and today?
It's interesting because for me, and not that I recognized it at the time. Okay, it really took something to go within and really stop for me. But it's for me, I always felt small, not seen, not heard, lonely in my personal life. There was a very big distinction between the personal and the business life. Like business, I was rocking it out, and I'm very confident. I'd come home and my personal life was completely different. Okay, so I carried this, what I would say, this really deep sadness and like this quiet ache with me that I didn't realize till later. But there was this, I'll say, inner longing, almost like a restlessness mixed within, like anger, and within that anger, this self-sabotage. The self-sabotage is amazing. And when I started to search within, like it really led me inward, is really what that did, because I knew I didn't want to feel that. I didn't want to, but there's nothing to me. I didn't feel like there was anything I could do about it, which is so crazy because we are the only ones that can do something about it, but it's that blaming. I said, well, and I'm sad and I feel like this and I feel lonely and I feel this, like all these things that I'm blaming, others for. And for me, it wasn't like once that search led me inward, not to answers, but to an awareness. There was just this awareness that started to come about. And I stopped chasing what I thought I lacked. And I started listening to what was already inside, because I was, class after class after, like, what am I looking for? I didn't know what I was looking for. I just knew I was continually searching and taking all of these classes and reading all of these books and all the stuff. Nothing ever really filled me. Like, I would have these aha moments, but I really didn't know. So over the time, that longing really became a doorway, and the sadness became a signal. And, now I don't seek from emptiness. I listen from presence, and I no longer see myself as broken or behind. I see myself as returning to what's already whole. And that's such a big thing, because when you don't know what's wrong, and you're like, I would wake up, in the morning, during the middle of the night, whatever it was, and I would just be crying, like, God, please take me. I wasn't taking my own life. I was like, God, please take me. Like, what am I doing here? Like, this is crazy. And it was really interesting to me how one day I just woke up like crying so deeply, and I didn't want to wake my husband up. So I went downstairs, and I was, in the family room, and I just started crying. I was like, what am I doing here? Why am I here? Like, just take me. I don't want to be here. And there was no reason for it. That's what's so crazy. There was absolutely no reason. Everything on the outside looked wonderful and perfect. This was just such an amazing turning point for me, because when I was just like crying, like, where am I? And all of a sudden I got this vision of this little beam of light. And this little beam of light was sitting, like on the couch, and then it zoomed out. And it was like, this beam of light in my house, and zoomed out to, my town, and all of a sudden, like, to the world. It was really interesting to me, because as it spanned out so much, that little tiny light looked like, sort of like it was the outlet, all these lights like created this, I don't know, being or something. And it was this little light on the tip of a finger. And I remember just crying harder and saying, oh my God, I'm a nothing in the world. I'm nothing. I'm nobody. Like, I'm this little tiny nothing, and just crying so hard. And I don't know what, something had me laying on the floor, and I laid on the floor and just crying. And this presence came over me. It was so beautiful and so quieting. Like, it was just so quiet. It was like somebody put their hand on my heart. And I just immediately calmed down. Like, it just went into this presence, I have to say. I don't think I said it out loud. I just thought, I surrender. I surrender because, and this is exactly what I was like, I surrender because I'm nobody, I'm nothing, and I'll never be anything. And later in life, I realized that's what I had felt. And that was, that sadness and all the other thing. But when I did that, I don't know where I went, what I did, because once I said that, this stillness came. And then all of a sudden, the next day, I woke up, and it was weird, because my ankles were crossed, my arms were straight out, and I felt like I had something pinned in me to the floor, like in my wrists. And I remember thinking, I don't want to look. And I had, like, my eye closed, and I sort of went like this to look over. And I'm like, if I'm bleeding, this is going to be crazy. And it wasn't. Like, there was nothing there. And I was like, oh, okay. And I turned my head back, but I was so still. It was just such a beautiful presence. And I turned my head back, and I was out again. And next thing I know, I woke up with this stillness, this quietness, this beautiful, quiet knowing that was so nice. And it had been like 4 or 5 hours. And I was like, well, what just happened? But I was never the same after that. And this knowing said, others are looking for what you've been looking for. And I remember thinking, well, who's going to listen to me? Like, who am I? I'm a nobody. And I saw the same beam of light, and the beam up went out, and I saw the exact same little line of his finger, and I just started crying. I was like, oh my God, I'm such a big piece of the world. I'm such a big piece of everything. So it was so interesting how within hours, how that so drastically changed from thinking I'm a nobody to all of a sudden, wow, look at me. Like now I'm thinking I'm this huge piece of the world. I didn't set out to be an energy advisor or a healer, whatever name they want to give me for that. I just kept showing up with presence after that. And this knowing that somehow it just started to help people find their way back to themselves and their truth. Like it was just really interesting. So I think like if you're in despair, if you're feeling anything, you don't know what it is, surrender to it. Surrender to that feeling, recognize that feeling and say, because now things are, easier. And if something surfaces for me, I'm like, wow, what is this feeling of like longing or loneliness or whatever it is? I know it's probably no doubt part of a layer. Because now a lot of times we're not feeling our own stuff.
Right.
Feeling we are all connected. I always see like these cells, and it's like one giant string of cells connecting everyone and everything.
Only we can all see, right?
Right. Oh my God. I wish everybody could because, and you can, it's just a matter of like what you're choosing. Cause some people are just like, well, I don't want to see. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah.
But when you just say, I see, because I said, I didn't used to always see.
Yeah.
I sick of these angel classes and all that. And I remember saying once, right, I can hear you guys. Like, I'm like, why can't I see? And I got a message. You always say you can't see. Why would you see? I was like, well, because I want to see.
Yeah, you got to change the decoration.
Exactly. So it was really interesting to me that I was like, oh, okay. And I did this thing where you integrate the right and left parts of the brain. And what you do is you cross your ankles, right? And you take your fingers and you interline, like, see how I'm like crossed? And you, however you want to sit with it, you put your hands down. But as long as the ankles are crossed and your wrists, you're grabbing your fingers. And then you gently close your eyes because then you're not taking in everything from the room. And you just continue to repeat over and over whatever it is. And at that point, I was saying, I see, hear, and communicate with angels and spirit guides. And I just kept repeating it with my thoughts. And I could always tell when my system got it because all of a sudden I would sit up straighter and I would like be thinking it with much more force. I was like, "Ooh, okay, got it." My husband came home a couple hours later and I was like, "Oh my God." Like I didn't even realize, oh my God, you've got the most beautiful blue angel on your shoulder. And at that point, he didn't want to know anything about this stuff, right? So he's like, don't talk to me about that. But it's interesting. So, anybody that's experiencing anything, start to do that. You're shifting every aspect of your system. You're putting in a new belief system. You're interrupting the old energy. Cross the ankles, cross the wrists, interlace your fingers, and then however you want to hold it. Again, I usually do that. It's more comfortable for me. And continue to repeat. And if you get bored with it, you're like, oh my God, this is really hurting. I don't like my fingers like this. I don't like my wrists like that. Okay, come back to it later. Because you will have shifted something. You may not have gotten it 100% within your system, but the more you do it, you're going to get it. And just anything, and look at an affirmation book and what resonates with me. Yes,
and just that posture that you were demonstrating, it was part of the energy medicine course that I took a while ago about crossing the left and right side of your energy so that they are beautifully dancing in a synced up way. But I do want to go back to your moment of profound transformation. Your invitation for us to surrender when that moment came was so profound because looking around, a lot of people, a lot of parents probably will be in that situation when their children are feeling a moment of disconnect. In our society, often the predominant advice is to, hey, here, take this medication.
Yes.
This makes you feel better. But that deep longing, that ache that you were talking about, that can never be taken away by medication. Medication can only mask it. And also thinking about your outward success really does not take that innate longing away. Lately I've been exposed to some Asian communities here in Buffalo, and the issue of mental health surfaced quite a bit in our conversation. Asian kids are stereotypically very academically successful, but there is a rising issue of mental wellness. So that makes me connect to your experience, when parents are pushing their kids to succeed academically, they probably are missing something even more significant for the child's growth. Helping them reconnect with that inner light, no matter how dim it can be at times, can be so instrumental. And always remember, medication is there, but we need to do our inner work.
Yes, yes. And sometimes the medication is enough to just quiet the mind enough so that you can so it's a matter of like really paying attention and listening to what does the body need. And I've had people where it did, like the medication helped them wrap their mind around, oh, wait a minute, I can heal this, I can do this, but not for the purpose of, okay, I need to stay on this forever. It's,
Right.
I'm a firm believer that the body knows how to heal. We may need the mind to get on board and say, okay, I need this medication or this whatever, but just temporarily to quiet something. But what I find is, children a lot of times with, oh my God, they're always running around, they're always doing this. Like, I need quiet time. Okay, but that's about you. That's not about your child. What is the child? I'm like, look they're running around, they're being number one, they're being a child, but what else do they need? What else are they looking for? And I know my son used to always, when he was young, he's old now, but when he was young, he had this, what would come out as like this anger. I was like, what's really going on? And I remember hearing like there was like Mozart, things like that. Play that when he's sleeping. And he was very active. And I would play that when he was sleeping. And whatever it did, I would watch his energy. And you could see his mind like calming down. And then sure enough, like he just was, I guess, what people call a normal child. The anger stuff stopped. And that running around and being crazy was all of a sudden just, okay, he's just, calmer. So sometimes it's a matter of like, we're not giving them enough stimulus. So what can we do? A 5-year-old loves Mozart, right? But it's that piece of like,
They do. My son too. I have a collection of CDs. He always pull out that one with Mozart on it, and
see, there's something in their brain.
something in
These
it.
children these days are amazing. As I said, they're supposed to wake us up. So we have to really pay attention to, okay, what is this child? What's right for this child? Not what is the world telling me he is.
Right.
Listen, and quite honestly, I'll tell you, your son, that's what he pulls off. Right? Isn't he basically saying, look, I know this is what my body needs.
Yeah, and sometimes the parents' energy, not sometimes, always, the parents' energetic state influence the child too.
Yes.
Like you said, sometimes they are reacting because they felt some disturbance in our field.
Yes.
And just don't know how to verbalize it, and they start acting out. So it's a reminder for the parents to also pay attention to the inner work.
Right. And that's why I always say, if you want to know what's going on inside of you, what's going on out here, what's going on in your world, that's always going to mirror what's going on inside. So if your child's acting like, all right, stop, look here. Because what are we doing as parents? Other parents or teachers or whatever said, oh my God, they're unruly, they're doing this, they're doing that. But truth of the matter is, you're in the schools thing, you're trying to control them. These children do not learn the way we learned. Like, no way. They're not going to be controlled, right? They're supposed to be waking us up. So let's listen to them. But now they're feeling this confinement, this thing. Of course, they're getting a little, crazy. Now you're hearing, oh my God, my child is a problem child. Now you're stressed. Now you're adding more. Now he's feeling or she's feeling that stress, right? So exactly what you said. They're responding to that. If a parent's coming in from a more centered place, of course it's going to help the child. They're going to be calmer as well. Let's come back to us first before we start dealing with children, before we start dealing with anything else. What's going on here? Because why am I going to be responding this way, right, to this child or to whatever? Once you come within and you center yourself, come a little more quiet, peaceful, then I think we're better equipped to handle what's going on.
Yeah, this is a perfect segue to my next question, which is about the beautiful point you made by saying that you are not here to fix or to teach. You're here to walk beside you. And I think if we all can embody that principle in our parenting practice, we're not here to teach or fix our kids. We're here to walk beside them. Wouldn't that be a beautiful day? So Tell us, why is that distinction of not fixing or teaching by here walking beside you? Why is that distinction important to you?
The way I see it, when we're here to try and fix or teach, to me, what we're subtly doing is placing ourselves above somebody else. Okay, and I never want someone to feel small in my presence. I never want somebody to feel that way. I want people to feel empowered, to know that they have the answers inside. I don't have them. I'm not going to get them. We can direct, because there's many times the spirit will, give me something and I'll say something and they're like, yeah, you know what? I don't really believe that. Okay. Then that's not where they're at that point. So then I'm like, okay, what resonates with you? Because people have the answers. We've got to meet them where they are. That's why it's so important. Come in as presence and just you're one and the same. I used to look at people like I'd put them on the pedestals, right? And every time I would meet that person, there would be like some big growers, right? And I'd meet these people, I'd be like, oh my God, like, wow, that's so ego. So they would always get knocked off of their pedestal. And I always say to people, do not put anyone on a pedestal. We're all the same. We're all the same. We're all on one. You may be over here, I may be over here. But guess what? Eventually we're going to change places. We all are the same thing. Never let anybody make you feel small. And quite honestly, nobody can. Like, that's fine. If you feel small, because you're trying small inside, got nothing to do with that person. That person is mirroring to you what you feel. So recognize it. Don't blame that person. That person says something to you. Don't blame them. Come back to you. Okay, wait, why did I bring that to me? What's going on inside? So to me, it's just really important not to, place myself above it or feel like I'm above. Like, I'm not. I'm in the same place. I'm here in human form, experiencing the same stuff everybody else is experiencing. Does that make sense? Does that answer the question?
Why is it important to walk beside someone when they come here to seek guidance?
Because I'm not. Yeah. Because I'm not any different than that. Like let's walk together. Like attracts like, right? So if someone's coming to you, they're marrying something to you as well. So don't ever like to go, okay, well, I'm buff, because the real healing's going to begin when somebody feels safe. They're not going to feel safe if you're, well, I'm going to show you, and I know, and I do, like, like I've known that. So let's walk together in this path, because whoever comes to me, that person is showing me something as well. It's always an even give and take. I'm not above anybody. They're not above me. We're all here. Let's walk together to make not only this person feel safe and in their truth and who and what they truthfully are. And if you can show up without that judgment and just in your presence, that will catapult that person to feeling safe and to knowing that I too have this within me. So you're mirroring back to them. You might see me as somebody that's going to help you along, but you're really helping yourself. I'm just mirroring that back to you. Does that make sense? Does that answer that question?
That's beautiful. Sometimes we place judgment on some observed behaviors in another person, and down deep, we are really observing ourselves.
Yes.
So I think that really takes the responsibility back.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's really when the real healing begins. When you can feel safe and seen and whole, that's what I've always aimed for. Like, let this person feel what I see in them. Because I don't see a broken person, somebody to be fixed. I see that person as you're whole. I go right into that piece of, like, okay, I'm going to go right into the very back point, and we're going to pull that piece forward. And it's going to push up all this other stuff. And it's going to integrate and be seen and be heard. And that's really where the real healing begins.
Yeah. Renae, for someone who's new to energy healing, how would you explain to them what energy is and why it is so important for healing and growth, especially when you talk about working with the energy beneath the surface? So talk to us about energy first, and then talk to us about what does it mean to work with energy beneath the surface.
So the energy it's a field, like everything that we do has the picture like a string, I guess. Okay. So the string, like every place I go, I'm going to leave the string, and people are going to come in and they're going to feel this string, or they're going to tweak the string, and how am I going to react to it? So it's always something you can react to that's always there. The energy beneath the surface is, I would say, what we often we feel, but we can't or we don't always name it. It's maybe the tightness behind the smile. It's the sadness under the anger, the heaviness we carry without knowing. It's the underlying energetic field. So what we do is we work with that. Not just the words someone's saying, but what the body and the energy field are holding on to. Okay, because that's where the real patterns live, patterns that are sitting within. So it's a matter of let's meet all of those patterns. Let's meet all of that, those feelings. Like stop stuffing them, stop storing them. Everybody has a different way of seeing, feeling, experiencing things. We can say the same thing, and their spirit's completely different, right? Because we're going to hit different people. But it's that point of when you have this energy field that's it's held in sadness, distrust, whatever we had gone through. You're holding that whole energetic field there, and it's all patterns, it's all programs. So let's meet all that with compassion. So when you feel something and you're like, I'm not even sure what I'm feeling, it's energy you're feeling. Like it's this energetic field. And then you say to yourself, okay, well, I'm going to meet this. I don't like this feel. I'm going to meet it with compassion and understanding. I'm going to allow that and allow myself to feel it and say, I see you, I hear you, I feel you. When you do that, it's amazing how that energy sometimes just is gone. It just wants to be seen. It wants to be heard. It wants to be felt. It wants to be acknowledged. So when you acknowledge what you're feeling, that sometimes is enough for all of a sudden it's just gone. You're like, wait, what was I just feeling? Because you go underneath the root system. There's a whole root system. When you're meeting it with that compassion, you're like, okay, I recognize this. I'm not going to buy into it. I'm going to recognize it and say, thank you so much. Like, I recognize you. Okay, you can go now. What you've done is you've gone underneath the root system of that, and you're pouring up that light. And that light is going into the root systems, and it's just disintegrating. It's turning back into its light.
It's about radical acceptance and a radical self-love, because when you find yourself in an energetic state where you don't feel too proud of, and yet you meet it with self-acceptance and self-love, and that is the ingredient that can really transmute that energy into something else.
Yes.
I wanted to pour a layer back, which I think will help our listeners understand what energy is. Energy is when you have an emotional response. Emotion is energy in motion. When you are having your emotional response, you are having a movement of energy. It could be a movement of joyfulness or a movement of sadness. And all of that is a movement of energy.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And Renae, your work is really about helping people become aware of that energy, but also at times remove or clear, maybe not remove, but clear and transmute emotional residues, so that tell us what would happen when you transmute that emotional residue. What would be the result?
When you're actually transmuting that, what happens is all of a sudden, like, say you'll be feeling this, like something that's there and you're not exactly sure what it is or why you're feeling it. So what we do is when we go into the energy field, now a lot of times people won't even recognize or know why or what they're feeling. What's really happening is we go into this field and we're meeting it exactly where it is. So somebody can feel the sadness and we just meet that sadness or that joy. Sometimes there's a joy and there's something underneath it that is not so joyful. Okay, because they're so attracted to betrayal or something. So it comes across sometimes as joy. So even when I see happy things, I'm always still like, okay, well, let's look on it. Let's look at the root system. Let's see what that is. But when you start to release that whole component of whatever it is you're feeling, you start to experience a deeper interconnection. You're going deeper within to understanding, to knowing who and what you are. Because when you do that, that's all you're doing is giving it a something. So the mind, right, the translator, so that the mind can say, okay, good, thank you. Now we're going to set this up for the future. So now in the future, I have something to hook into. If this, and this happens, I can pull this up and now you'll feel it. Okay, I recognize, I see you. And I'm now going to interrupt this. And I'm going to send you love. I'm going to say, this isn't mine. Or is this mine? Whose voice is this? Who's speaking to me? Because when you're feeling these things, again, like we had said earlier, this might not be yours. Energy doesn't know walls, right? Somebody down the street could be having a hard time. And you might be sensitive enough to feel that energy. All of a sudden you're feeling it and you're thinking it's yours. So stop and ask, is this mine? Right. You will get the answer. So what am I doing with this? If it's not yours, okay, you're safe. We're safe. Or the powers that be are saying, very simply put, put your hand on your chest, on your heart, and just say, I remember who I am. And in saying or thinking that, what you're doing is, whether that voice was yours or not, they're saying what you're doing is interrupting the pattern. And now you're able to release that. What you're doing is you're calming the energy down. It's going to reconnect back into its wholeness, into our whole. And now you're becoming that whole being of light. What I love about that is you've now helped yourself because you've integrated, you've seen it for what it was. You didn't judge it. You didn't say, oh, what is this from? Where is this from? You didn't go down that rabbit hole because it's not necessary to do that anymore. We have to acknowledge it from exactly where it is. The minute you say or think that, what I see happening is that energy just dissipates and everything in your system flips over to the opposite. We don't have to know that. We don't even know the opposite of half the stuff. Because if you're feeling, betrayed, you're like, okay, I'm going to cancel. I'm going to replace this with, I'm always hearing truth. Well, what about something that said, I don't deserve to hear truth? You didn't hit that. But say, cancel or replace it with the opposite. You've hit everything. I've watched people's whole body switch over all sorts of things. Or, okay, thank you. I remember who I am. They're saying you're flipping those things over because that's not who you are, whether it's your voice or someone else's.
Renae, would you say that in that process of transmuting the energy, we really are invoking the power of our right brain? Because you are reminding us so beautifully to not ask the why question, because the why question is the left brain question. Once we engage the logic, the reasoning, we still looped into the same energy blueprint. And then we shift into the right brain by observing it. It's no judgment, observing it. But that act of observing, whether it's by yourself or by a loving healer like yourself, that act of observing is transmuting that cacophony, which is also an energetic pattern, into symphony, which is just same instrument, same stuff, but when it's vibrationally aligned differently, then your state of being is changed. Did that get to what you said?
Yeah, I love the way you said that. That's so perfect. And quite honestly, because things just usually come into me, that's how I really came into all of this. Things just would come. And I totally trusted it because, again, this is my business part of it. So I totally trusted it because nobody ever told me in life, hey, you're going to get on the spiritual path. And nobody ever said that.
Yeah.
Here, like I would get things, I'm like, okay, that feels right. Okay, go. So I love, like, when you're like, the right brain is this, the left brain is this. That's very cool. Like, I love when you explain things because that makes sense. And I love that you're putting it into that human component where everybody can understand it and why. So thank you for that. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. One aspect of your work is really to reconnect people with their worth. We sort of had a sprinkle of this already, and help them realign with their highest self. I mean, we live in a world that often tells us we're not enough. Even parents unintentionally tell their kids you're not enough, right? How many times we do that? So what would be one piece of your advice that you have for someone who is struggling with self-worth now?
If someone's just struggling with self-worth, and this is something that I had struggled with for many years, I think the best thing that I'd say is, and this probably won't mean much, but your worth isn't something that you have to earn. It's something that you remember. Okay? And like I said, that doesn't really mean a whole lot. Your soul knows who you are, knows you're enough, knows you're more than enough. You don't have to prove anything to anyone. And I think that's what we got stuck in. We got stuck in, we have to prove our worth. Like you have to prove you can do the job. You have to, like all of this stuff. But what I would say is stop and breathe. Let your body breathe how it's choosing to breathe. It's very important that you're allowing your body to breathe because it knows how it wants to breathe. It knows how it wants to move. If you can put music on or something that excites you, put it on. Put yourself in a room. Let your body move how it wants to move. That is going to release stuck energy. Just close your eyes, let it move how it wants to move. You're going to start to release this energy, these things that are telling you this is how you must be. This is what you must do to show us and to show the world this is who you are. Once you start to breathe and really pay attention to you recenter. You come back into you because everything is within. When we stop abandoning ourselves, that's when your self-worth comes back. No, you don't have anything to prove. Come back to you. Okay, just say or think, I remember I am enough. The more you're thinking that, and don't think of it as, oh, it's my affirmation. It's not, it's an interrupter. It's interrupting the pattern. And go into connecting the right and left parts of the brain and put in, I am enough. Does that make sense?
Yeah, Renae, I'm with you 100%. I've done the work, I've traveled the path, but I'm just asking from our listeners' perspective. You're not saying that they should stop striving for goals in their life.
Absolutely not. No, because you've got goals. It's just stop trying to prove things to somebody. You've got nothing to prove to anybody. You have your goals, but
You
you're
can still
doing
have
it.
your goals. You can still pursue something.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
And because the truth of the matter is, when you're doing things for you, it's completely different than if you're doing that. Well, I'm going to prove my parents this. No, do it for you. First of all, it's going to bring you fun. It's going to bring you happiness. It's going to bring you joy. Okay. That alone starts to interrupt the patterns of, oh, I'm not worthy. And this has happened many times to people. I thought I wanted this in life, but now I've come back to me and I'm doing things for me. I don't want that. They start to realize that's not what they want. And they had been pursuing that for years. And all of a sudden they're like, nope, that's not what I want to do. I want to do this. And of course, what do people say? Oh, you're crazy. You shouldn't do that. You're secure in your job, blah, blah, blah. But the ones that go back and like, oh, no, they're right. I better do this for safety reasons. They're so miserable. And then they eventually go to doing what they love. And they're like, oh, why didn't I do this sooner? So definitely have your goals, but make sure you're doing them for you, because that is going to catapult you. You're going to be more successful than you ever imagined because you're doing it out of love, out of happiness, out of joy. And you'll catapult. And all of a sudden, self-worth is there. It's not something you strive to do. You finally stopped abandoning you. And all of a sudden, self-worth and everything else just starts to blossom and bloom. And what I love about that, Junting, is the energy of that. You're feeling that it's emanating out into the world. It goes out and it gives other people permission to do the same.
I love that. A lot of people are seeking self-worth through material means, buying themselves the top brand cars and purses and watches, and after a while, if their self-worth issue is still lingering, they will probably start looking elsewhere.
Yes.
But I would say, why not start at the right place first?
Yes. Yeah. Clearly, you got to come within, because when you continue to, I'll be happy when I get this, when I get this, when I get this, you never really are, because you keep creating more things. I'm gonna work because I'm gonna have this. I want this Gucci bag or whatever it is. If you look behind it, there's still a something missing. It might be a sadness, might be just an emptiness that you're not really naming. Like sometimes when I see energy, like I'll look at somebody and I may see parts of them, like other bodies, looking backwards, sideways, whatever. It's just like they're 12-year-old, they're 13-year-old, that felt like they weren't enough looking that way. So it's saying, oh, okay. Well, come on back home. Come on back home. It's time to come home now. We don't need to do that anymore. I'm your protector. Because remember, if there's any parts of you that are feeling something, the mind is acting as that, narrator, but it's also there to keep you safe. It's trying to keep you safe. It's saying, this is what happened. So you're not enough. You can't be seen. You can't have your voice out there, because then you're not safe. Because look what happened way back when. But it might not have happened to you. Could have been in the ancestral chain, right?
Right.
When you say, no, look at me, look at my eyes. Because, there's a separation, because they are separate, right? Because that's why you're saying, look at me, not look at us. Look at me, look at my eyes. When they look and they see, they're always shocked. And then you say, look at, we've grown up. We have a ton of tools in our toolbox. You have a ton of tools in your toolbox. You are not that same person that was injured. You're completely different. You went on with life, regardless of where that is, right? So you've learned things, you've experienced things. So now you've got a ton of tools in the toolbox, whether you recognize it or not. So you say, we've got a ton. I'm here to protect you now. We're not that person. And just that alone, a lot of times brings those parts, and you welcome them back home. Come on home to the heart. Come back home to the heart. Let's work together as one. Because why? We remember who we are. As the parts come in, you feel it on the physical form, even though it's energy. You feel that movement.
Come back home to the heart. That seems to be such a beautiful definition of wholeness, which was my next question. But I think you've covered a lot about what does wholeness mean to you and what does it look like when someone has truly returned to it.
Mm-hmm.
And that heart-based.
Yes. Yeah. Because wholeness to me
Right.
doesn't mean perfection. Some people think it's perfection. It means nothing's exiled. Like, you've accepted all parts of you as perfect. When you stop trying to be only what you perceive as the good parts, instead you allow all of you, the light, the ache, the softness, the strength, what we perceive as the weakness, is, all of that stuff as, this is me, and I'm proud of it. You're shocked how what you perceived as that weakness all of a sudden turns into this beautiful strength. And when someone returns to their wholeness, to me, they feel more true, more present, steady, real. And that always comes from permission to allow that quiet confidence to come forward. Like, I'm going to walk in life as me. It's not the role that I'm told I have to be, not this person that everybody else perceives. Here I am. I'm walking into this room. I'm accepting every part of me as perfect or as wonderful, because however we are, know that it's okay to be. We are here to experience things. I had heard many years ago, you are a spiritual being here to have wonderful, happy, exciting experiences. And when people say, well, why did I go through this? Stop. Who cares why? Because guess what? You experienced it. You got something of it. And guess what? It's bringing you back into you, right? Or some people are like, oh no, I'm going to blame. But eventually we end up coming back to the heart.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So the minute you can say, I see every experience as, okay, this was an experience, and now I'm going to change this, or I'm going to do this. I recognize this is within me, but I love it anyway. I love it. And even if you don't love it, when you say, I love it, the energy of love goes there.
That's so simple yet so profound. And when you're going through a dense time like ours and you still say this to yourself every day, I'm
Yes.
going through this as a soul, as an expression of the collective creation. And I know there's work to do, but I'm loving every moment of it.
Yes.
So you don't wait until the world becomes heavenly to feel whole. You feel whole at this very moment, here and now.
Yes.
Doesn't matter what mess is going on right there in your personal life or out in the world. It's an invitation, but it's also a truth. A very simple truth. Too simple that people don't even want to believe it is the truth.
Exactly.
And that's precisely why podcasts like this exist, to continue to remind us of that possibility.
Yes.
Yeah. And Renae, you have channeled a lot of meditations and guidance for that purpose of helping people create wholeness. Can you tell us a little bit more about what you offer?
I mostly offer like meditations, because the meditations, they're all channeled. I just like sit quietly. Usually I could just be sitting there not thinking anything. And this knowing will come in. It's like, this needs to be done. Just, you need to record. So I come down in the office and I was like, okay, like, let's go. And just record something. It's not planned, and it's never planned. Typically there's not any music to them, because the world to me is loud enough. What we're trying to do is bring people back into themselves. So if you're relaxing to a music that's telling your system, oh, I can't relax by myself. So typically they've got no music. It's not about the words. It's not about my voice. It's the vibration, the sound that these beautiful, what I call the powers that be, or the healers, whatever, that come through, and they're bringing forth this frequency that is calling to be expressed and open up people's energy field to them. And you don't have to listen to them with the sound on. You might not like the voice. You might not like the words. When you put them on mute, it's still working because it's about frequency that comes through. And the frequency meets the people exactly where they are. So you can listen to a meditation today while you're sleeping, whether it's on mute, whether you've got it on sound, it doesn't matter, because it's about the frequency, the energy that's coming through. So
if you listen to it, it's the mind being the transcriber, being the recorder. But even if you put it on mute, because the mind will be sleeping, but the work is going on.
Yeah, people have said that to me too. Like, I didn't really hear it, but I heard it. I'm like, I get it. And because then what happens is you go to sleep and your system is working on all the stuff that your mind would be like, oh, wait a minute, wait, what? You're clearing what? Oh, no, I'm going to hang on. And I see it like as a hook, like, oh, no, we're going to need to hang on to this because this is old. This is how we've operated. But when you're sleeping, you're just, okay, I've surrendered, and you're letting things go. And a lot of people say, I just woke up, I feel so different. But you can listen to a meditation. Okay, let's say you listen to that same meditation a year from now. So many people have said to me, I heard completely different words, because the frequency meets you where you're at. It's wild to me how I'll listen to things that I recorded 30 years ago. And I'm like, oh my Lord, what they did was crazy. But it's really recognizing the energy shifts that, again, awakening you to you, going within, bringing this beautiful field of pulling what you are forward without the translator, the mind, being involved. Does that make sense? Did that answer the question?
Yeah, it's sleep time is even better because the conscious mind is shut off. So we are into the operating system, the subconscious mind. And on that note, Renae has so graciously created a set of guided meditations and also a beautiful guidebook for us. Do you want to talk a little bit about that? We will post that on our show notes for people to access.
Okay, yeah. There's 3 meditations, and they're just gentle companions for your journey inward. Okay, so the first one was returning to wholeness, which invites you to embrace every part of yourself, especially the ones that you've hidden and that you remember that you didn't need to be fixed, or to be loved. There's no fixing. This is actually bringing you back into that wholeness. The next one, the inner light doesn't go out. That one reconnects you with your inner compass. It's the quiet light that stays lit when we think it's not. Like, it's reminding you that light has never gone out. It's there. And I can't really remember what they channeled, but they're showing now people coming back home into that light and remembering that it never went out, that we are here, we being your light, every aspect of that beautiful presence of your true being, bringing you back home to that remembrance. And then there's the crossing the threshold, which just offers support in times of transition, helping you release what's behind and step forward into what's coming. Because a lot of times that whole aspect of, I don't know what's next, that sometimes is a fearful thing. So the threshold helps you with that aspect. And each one's just here to meet you exactly where you are and to bring you home to yourself. And it's got a guidebook that brings you through a couple reflection points if you choose to use it. They're just really short. It's like 1 page for each one of the meditations. And then there's an action step, and there's reflections where you can look at it, and just helps you come back to you and remember who you are and get on that beautiful journey of light and love, because you are so worth it. If everybody could see what I see in you, it's amazing. And you're not this broken somebody who needs to be fixed. You are whole. It's a matter of just remember that. And these are going to help you remember that aspect. And no matter how many times you listen to it, it's always going to be something new because there's a new frequency coming each time because it meets you where you are.
Beautiful and magical. Thank you so much, Renae. And we will post the link in the show notes for people to download the beautiful meditations and the guidebook. How can people find you if they want to seek a consultation session with you and work with you?
Just go right to my website, which is www.renaeusa.com. And everything's right on there. There's so many things there that you don't even have to do a consultation with me. There's so many things that I have that are just free to help everybody wake up and to be, because I remember what it was like. And I'm just here to, as we're healing the world. So let's get it all out there and get everybody in the place that we're supposed to be. And let's see the world shift and change to how we are choosing to perceive it.
Beautiful, beautiful, Renae. Do you have any parting words of wisdom for our listeners as we are about to close this episode?
Yeah. I would say just really truthfully be true to you, like listen to who you are, what feels right, and don't make excuses for it. Like, this is how I feel. It's okay for you to be or to feel what you feel, and you say something to somebody, they perceive it completely different. So be true to you, whatever that is, and really listen. Stop and listen. And if you say one thing every single day, it's, I remember who I am. Continue to repeat that. And especially when you're going to bed, repeating that, I think you'll be shocked at what starts to happen in your life.
Wonderful. If I may, I would love to read the final blessings from your guidebook to close out today's session.
Absolutely.
May you walk your days with softened shoulders and a steady heart. May you remember that healing doesn't shout, it whispers. May every return to presence deepen your trust in the quiet strength within you. Thank you so much, Renae, and thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. Until next time, bye-bye now.